Moving to Idaho is exciting, but those first 30 days, they can be a real roller coaster. No matter how much research you do before moving, there are just things that no one tells you, things you don't even think about until you're actually here. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through what those first 30 days are really like after moving to Idaho, from what surprises people the most to the biggest challenges and the things that make you stop and think, did I make the right decision? Before we jump in, if you're thinking about moving to Idaho and want real, no BS insights, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notifications so that you never miss any future videos. Go ahead and drop a comment below if you've already moved. What was the biggest surprise for you in those first 30 days? Or if you're still planning to make the move here, what is your biggest concern? Let me know in the comments. The first few days after moving are definitely all about unpacking and figuring out the basics. Where's the nearest grocery store? Where's the best place to grab a quick bite to eat? How do I get from my new house to downtown without actually using Google Maps? I'll tell you what, it took me a while to not have to use Google Maps all the time. But the first thing that catches a lot of people off guard is how spread out everything is compared to where they come from. If you're moving from California, Seattle, or any major metro area, you're used to having multiple stores, restaurants, and gas stations within a very short proximity. In Idaho, that's not always the case, especially if you move to the suburbs or to more rural areas. You might have to drive 10 or 15 minutes just to grab a gallon of milk, and that can take some getting used to. The next big adjustment is the weather. If you move here in the winter, you're immediately faced with cold temperatures, possible snow, and figuring out how to drive on icy roads. A lot of people aren't really prepared for just how slick the roads can get, especially in neighborhoods that don't get plowed right away or at all. The first time you hit black ice, you'll realize just how different winter driving is compared to anywhere that doesn't get snow. Now, on the flip side, if you move here in the summer, you might be surprised by how hot it gets. Idaho summers can hit triple digits, and while it's a dry heat, 100 degrees is still hot. You'll quickly learn that almost every home here has air conditioning, especially newer ones, and you'll be very thankful for it. Now, one of the biggest surprises in the first 30 days is how friendly people are. If you're used to a fast-paced city where people avoid eye contact and don't talk to strangers, Idaho can feel like a completely different world and maybe a little strange. Neighbors will introduce themselves, people will wave when you drive by, and cashiers will actually have conversations with you. It's definitely refreshing, but it can also catch you a little off guard if you're not used to it. Now, on the flip side, some people moving here worry about being accepted, especially if they're coming from California, like myself. Now, the truth is most people are very welcoming, but you might run into a few who aren't thrilled about all the new residents moving into the area. Now, the best advice I can give is to be respectful of the culture here. People in Idaho definitely value independence, personal responsibility, and a slower pace of life. Now, if you come in trying to change everything, you might get some pushback. But if you take the time to appreciate what makes Idaho different, you'll fit in just fine. Another thing that surprises people in the first few months is how different the shopping can be. Yes, Boise has big retailers like Costco, Trader Joe's, and now even multiple In-N-Outs, but certain things you're used to having easy access to just may not be here. If you're moving from a big city, you might find yourself searching for stores that simply don't exist here. There's no IKEA, there are no major luxury shopping malls, and fewer specialty grocery stores. But what you will find are a lot of great local businesses, farmers markets, and smaller shops that carry high quality products. So it just takes some time to figure out where to go for what exactly you need. If you're thinking about moving to Idaho and you want help figuring out what area is best for you, let's talk. Click the link in the description below to book a call with me, or feel free to call, text, or email me. My contact info is on the screen and in the description below. I help people move here all the time from California, and I'd love to help you too. Now, let's talk about driving, because this is something that throws a lot of people off in their first 30 days. The good news here is the traffic is nowhere what you deal with in Los Angeles or Seattle. There are some unique things about driving in Idaho that take some time to adjust to. First, Idahoans drive fast. The speed limits here are higher than in a lot of other states, especially on highways. And if you're used to going 65 miles per hour on the freeway, get ready for 80-mile-per-hour speed limits in some areas. Now, on the other hand, people in Idaho also tend to take their time on city streets. You'll notice drivers waving other people through at four-way stops, even if they have the right of way. It's polite, but if you're used to a bit more aggressive driving, then it can be a little frustrating at first. Now, one of the biggest things that surprises new residents is the lack of public transportation. So if you're moving here from a city where you relied on trains, buses, or ride shares to get around Idaho, it is a big adjustment. Now, we do have Uber and Lyft here, but Boise just doesn't have a great bus system. It is very limited, especially outside of Boise. You pretty much need a car. Now, if you don't already have one, getting a reliable vehicle should be at the top of your list when moving here, and I would definitely recommend all-wheel drive. Something that isn't talked about enough is the adjustment to the pace of life. In the first month, you might feel like everything moves slower. There's a less rush. People aren't in as much of a hurry, and it might just take a little bit longer to get things done. If you need a contractor for home repairs, you might have to wait a bit. If you need an appointment for something, it might not happen quite as fast as maybe you're used to. But the good news is that the slower pace is one of the things that people end up loving the most here. It allows for more time to enjoy life instead of just constantly rushing from one thing to the next. It's a way to just kind of slow down and enjoy things a little bit more. If you've moved here recently, let me ask you, what was the biggest adjustment for you in your first 30 days? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about your experience. Let's talk about the financial side of moving to Idaho, because this is definitely one of the biggest reasons why people leave California. It certainly was a big reason why I moved here, but there are also some costs that people don't expect when they move here. And I want to break down for you what exactly those are and what to expect. First, housing costs are obviously much lower than California, but Idaho is not as cheap as it used to be. Over the past few years, home prices have risen significantly, especially in areas like Boise, Meridian, and Eagle. While it's still definitely more affordable than California, you can't expect to get a home for dirt cheap anymore. Now, that being said, you're getting way more home for your money, larger lots, bigger homes, and in many cases, new construction. The big difference is property taxes. While they're lower than in California, they're not as low as some people might think. There's still definitely some good savings to be had. In Meridian, which is Ada County, the property tax rate is just about 0.5% of a home's assessed value. But Idaho also offers a homeowner's exemption that reduces the taxable value of your primary residence. Now, to put this into real numbers, if you buy a $600,000 home in Meridian, you get a $125,000 homeowner's exemption, meaning you're being taxed on $475,000. About a 0.5% annual tax rate, that's going to result in about a tax of $2,700. Now, in California, a home at that same price would likely have property taxes closer to around $7,000 or $8,000 per year, or even higher when you're dealing with Mello-Roos. Now, another thing I didn't expect was how much utilities would cost. Coming from San Diego, my electricity and gas bills were pretty predictable. In Idaho, winter heating costs are higher because of the cold. If you have a gas furnace, your heating bill in the winter can range from $100 to several $100s per month, depending on the size of your home, how well insulated it is, and how cold it gets. On the flip side, summer electric bills are definitely lower than California. Even with running the AC, my summer electric bill is usually between $100 to $150 per month. Sometimes it can hit $200. Now, water costs are pretty reasonable, around $40 to $80 per month, including sewer. If you have a larger yard, you might actually pay less because many neighborhoods in Idaho have pressurized irrigation systems that use canal water for irrigation purposes, which help keep your costs low. Internet prices are similar to what I paid in California. I pay about $90 a month right now, and fiber is available in many areas, but not all. Now, one thing you have to take care of in your first 30 days is getting an Idaho driver's license and registering your vehicle. This is something a lot of new residents don't realize that they have to do quickly. But once you move here, you're legally required to get an Idaho driver's license within 90 days. But most people go ahead and get it taken care of within the first month. If you have an out-of-state license, the process is pretty simple. You'll need to bring proof of identity, proof of residency, like a utility bill or a rental agreement, and your current driver's license. Now, the DMV here is much more efficient than in California, but it's probably still not a bad idea to make an appointment. But oftentimes you can get in and out of the DMV in less than 15 minutes. Car registration is definitely a pleasant surprise for most residents. Idaho's base registration fee is $75, but with some additional taxes and fees, you might be around $100 to $125, especially in Ada County. Now, compared to California, where registration costs can be easily several $100s or maybe even $1,000 for newer vehicles, this is a huge savings. Plus, Idaho doesn't have any emissions testing, which means no extra trips to the smog check station and no surprise expenses just to keep your car street legal. It's one of those small but meaningful financial wins that makes moving to Idaho feel just so much better. Now, another tip that I highly recommend after moving here, get a pass for a car wash. Idaho's weather and road conditions can make your car dirty really fast, especially in the winter. Now, the roads are treated with salt and chemicals during snowstorms, and if you don't wash regularly, then buildup can occur and lead to rusting over time. A monthly car wash membership is a great investment because you'll want to wash your vehicle at least once a week in the winter to keep that snow melt and salt off your car. Now, even in the summer, dust from all the construction and farmland in the area can coat your vehicle pretty quickly, so having a pass just makes it really easy and convenient to keep your car nice and clean all year round. One thing that really surprised me in the first 30 days was just how different the shopping experience is. Kind of mentioned this earlier, but if you're used to stopping at Trader Joe's or Costco without thinking about it, well, the good news is that Boise has those. And like I said, we have multiple in-and-outs now. But if you're looking for IKEA, major luxury shopping malls, or certain specialty stores, you might have to drive to Salt Lake State. That's where the nearest IKEA is. Now, we do have the Village that has Lululemon, Madewell, Anthropologie, and many other higher end stores. But on the flip side, farmers markets and local businesses thrive here, and you'll find that people really support local shopping. If you've ever thought about buying local beef, fresh produce, or even dairy from local farms, you'll find plenty of options. Now, another thing that stands out in those first 30 days is how much outdoor life is a part of Idaho's culture. Even if you weren't big in outdoor activities before, you'll probably start getting into them here. And there's something about having mountains, lakes, and rivers right in your backyard that makes you want to take advantage of it all. Floating the Boise River in the summer, hiking the foothills, or taking day trips to McCall or Sun Valley are all things that quickly become part of your routine. And if you move here in the winter, you might find yourself skiing or snowboarding at Bogus Basin or taking weekend trips to Tamarack or Brendage Mountain. Now, if you're you're into fishing, hunting, or off-roading, you'll love how easy it is to access all those activities from here. And something that isn't talked about enough is how long it takes to feel settled. The first 30 days can be a mix of excitement and stress. You're in a new place, you're meeting new people, you're figuring out what your new routine is. Now, for some, it's an easy transition, but for others, there can be moments of doubt, like, did I make the right move? Will I ever feel completely at home here? And you know what? It's completely normal. It just takes time to adjust, especially if you've left behind friends, family, and everything that's familiar to you. The best advice that I can give is to get involved in the community, whether that's through your church, your kid's school, or a local gym, or even just joining Facebook groups in your neighborhood. The faster you put yourself out there, the easier the transition will be. If you've moved here recently, what was the hardest part of adjusting in your first 30 days? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experience. So now that you know everything that there is about what the first 30 days are really like when moving to Idaho, the question is, are you ready to make the move here to Idaho? Now, if you're thinking about relocating and want to talk about the area and what the best fit is for you, please give me a shout. Click the link in the description to book a call with me on my calendar, or feel free to call, text, or email. My contact info is on the screen and in the description below. And if you want to explore more videos about moving to Boise, Idaho, all you got to do is watch this video right here. I'll see you on the next video.